The southwestern region of the United States, with its Texas and its Oklahoma, its New Mexico and Arizona, is sometimes referred to as a its expanse is indicated by the fact that New Mexico and Arizona span the broad Rocky Mountain Plateau. A high level plain marks the eastern boundary of the plateau, and mountains thrust their jagged peaks into its northern limits. Rainfall is heaviest toward the east, and here many streams originate and thread their way through fertile farmlands of Oklahoma and Texas into the Mississippi Basin and the Gulf of Mexico. On the western side, the slow rise of the plateau has forced the Colorado River to dig its bed more than a mile deep in places as it flows toward the Gulf of Lower California. On the great dry plateau, there are picturesque stretches of desert. Lofty mountains come down from the north. There are volcanic cinder cones which seem to have ceased activity only recently. The plateau is a country of mountain, plain, and canyon. Here is the Grand Canyon of the Colorado, attracting thousands of tourists every year, attracting geologists as well to read the story of the Earth's crust in its exposed rock strata. Other plateau lands contain a wealth of lure for tourists, a wealth of speculation on cultures of a bygone age. Here are ancient Aztec ruins. In Chaco Canyon are these unsurpassed ruins of dwellings more than 1,000 years old. And here near Santa Fe, New Mexico, archaeologists investigate this great communal dwelling of 1,000 rooms built more than 2,000 years ago. This region thus has long been known to man. The Spanish fortune hunters in their earliest 16th century explorations came upon ancient cultures here. Conquistadors conquered, priests converted, and while the Old World ruled, labor agents of the Spanish government taught the Indians they conquered on the plateau how to make objects of value to the Spaniards. As a result of intermarriage, the Spanish blood mixed with that of native Indian continues to this day in many people of the Southwest. Both Spanish and English are official languages in New Mexico. Prehistoric irrigation systems are reflected in giant modern projects in the Rio Grande and Gila River basins, where crops include most of the nation's long staple cotton. More important on the plateau, however, are the cattle ranches the Spaniards first set up. These influence life even today in this region. In the vast dry tableland are huge cattle ranges where thousands of highly bred beef cattle roam, where of late years thousands of dairy cattle have been stocked. Sheep ranges with millions of sheep, many herds being owned or cared for by Mexicans or by Indians such as the Navajos. New Mexico has ranked among leading sheep grazing regions since the time of the Spanish occupation. The sheep production of the eastern portion of the plateau, extending into Texas and Oklahoma, exceeds even that of Arizona and New Mexico. The Southwest Texas subregion leads the nation in production of mohair, the wool of Angora goats. Texas, Oklahoma, and other plain states are developing vast turkey ranches. Overlooked by the Spaniards was Arizona's copper. Today her copper mines produce 1/2 of the nation's copper. In addition, Arizona has some gold and silver, zinc and lead. The billions of tons of coal of this subregion underlie Indian reservations, hence cannot be developed at present. New Mexico likewise has considerable copper, gold, silver, coal, and petroleum. The great state of Texas and her sister state Oklahoma to the north represent the more fertile portion of the Southwest where rainfall is heavier. This region likewise was crossed and recrossed by early Spanish explorers. Later, Americans who had gradually settled in eastern Texas struck for liberty at the Alamo and at San Jacinto, and Texas became a republic which joined the Union in 1845. To the north lay Oklahoma, land of the red men, once hunting ground of wandering plains tribes such as Kiowas, Pawnees, and Apaches, who followed the great buffalo herds on the Great Plains. Later, refuge for Creeks, Cherokees, Chickasaws, Choctaws, and Seminoles, who were driven from their homes to the east. Oklahoma became the principal Indian territory. Today it includes remnants of 88 tribes in its 120,000 of Indian ancestry. Much of Oklahoma became likewise a new melting pot for Native American whites when the large central strip of land shown here in lighter tone was thrown open to white settlement in 1889. Nearly 100,000 were added the first day. Within 50 years, this migration brought over 2 million settlers into the state from all other parts of the country, north, east, south, and west. Today, nearly 9 million of the Southwest's 10 million people live in the fertile region of the eastern plains and Gulf Coast. Although there are still many large sheep and cattle ranches in Texas and Oklahoma, this area is closely related in agriculture to the southeastern United States, Texas and Oklahoma raising about 1/3 of the nation's cotton. Of this, Texas' rich central and northern farm belt produces 3 million bales of cotton of 500 pounds each in an average year. It is in cotton that Texas' 1 million Negro population find much of their work. Along with Louisiana and Arkansas, southeast Texas irrigated lands produce millions of bushels of rice each year, while in another irrigated district, the lower Rio Grande Valley, is one of the nation's richest year-round truck growing areas. Also vast level orchards from whence come Texas grapefruit. The northwestern part of the region is in the winter wheat belt. Oklahoma stands second only to Kansas in production of winter wheat. Corn farmers reap fine harvests in large areas nearby. And Oklahoma's cotton belt produces nearly 500,000 bales per year. In eastern Oklahoma coal fields, bituminous coal miners aid in mineral production to help establish it as fourth among the states in total annual value of all minerals. Huge piles of chats mark the location of zinc production of northeastern Oklahoma, production which gives it top ranking among states in this metal, and fourth in production of lead, usually found with or near zinc deposits. But above all the diversity and value of other minerals and of farm crops, the southwestern region stands supreme in petroleum production. The huge oil fields of the Southwest are part of a vast basin extending into Louisiana on the east, into Kansas on the north, and New Mexico on the west. In a recent year, Texas alone produced almost 1/4 of the total world supply of petroleum. For years, oil, much of it on Indian lands, has been the backbone of Oklahoma's wealth. Today, modern oil derrick forests have encroached upon the very capital in Oklahoma City. Much of the mid-continent petroleum is piped to the Texas Gulf Coast in and near Port Arthur, where is located the largest petroleum refining center in the world. From such Texas Gulf ports as Beaumont, Port Arthur, Houston, Texas City, Galveston, Corpus Christi, and Port Aransas go a variety of products to the eastern seaboard, Europe, and South America. Thus, the Southwest supplies raw materials: petroleum, cotton, copper, zinc, lead, grain, fruits, vegetables, corn, cattle, sheep, goats, and hogs. It receives manufactured goods, clothing, tools, and a host of small products from the Northeast, autos and farm machinery from the Middle States, farm products from the Northwest, tobacco and textiles from the Southeast, lumber, seafoods, fruits, and motion pictures from the far west. There are 6 cities in the Southwest of over 100,000 population. They and their smaller sister cities are mostly trade and jobbing centers in a region that has had the greatest population increase ratio in recent years. Cities of the Southwest are typically new and clean, fueled largely by natural gas. Cities usually without smoke. Thus, in the Southwest, a vigorous modern culture replaces that of a bygone age. The wastes of straggling native growth become vast irrigated citrus farms. Across the sunlit plateau to the west, echoing back from canyon walls that shield a past that long has been dead, comes the surge of modern life, the far-flung activities of modern agriculture, the exploitation of resources by modern industry. the rising crescendo of the conquest of a continent.